Welcome to the Waves Business Coaching Podcast, where you can equip yourself with the tools and insights to build the dream team your business needs so that you can lead with more confidence, master those people challenges, and reclaim your freedom. I'm your host, Jacob Carnes, business coach and author of Master Your First Job. This week on the podcast, I interview Brien. Brien is a husband, father of four, entrepreneur. He owns Ricochet Digital Marketing, a firm that supports home service providers and small business growth. And we have a great conversation about entrepreneurship, balancing being a husband and father and running a business, which I think anyone can empathize with if you have a family, and just balancing personal life, running a business, and really dive deep into digital marketing and some easy wins you can get with your business using digital marketing, specifically with Google business profiles, Google ads, Google reviews, and email marketing, in-mail marketing. We kind of talk about it all, which is great. And some of the things you might be missing out on as a small business by not utilizing those, and how to get some easy wins for your business in the digital marketing space. A great conversation today with Brien. Wanted to mention, if you haven't gotten it yet, my book, Master Your First Job, is available now. Look, it's for first-time employees to help them thrive in their role. And better yet, it's to help business owners better understand how to utilize and develop their young talent. If you'd like a free copy of this book, you can go to masteryourfirstjob.com/free. That's masteryourfirstjob.com/free. And you'll get a free e-copy of the book, as well as instructions of how to send it to your Kindle if you're a Kindle reader, like I am occasionally. Let's dive into this conversation with Brien. Really excited for this episode. Thanks for listening. Brien, thanks so much for being on the Waves Business Coaching Podcast. Despite our best wants, we're not going to talk about college football or Major League Baseball, but I do want to hear about you, your journey, your story. Like, how'd you get to where you are now?
Yeah, Jacob, thanks for having me, man. This is a pleasure. And I know we just blew through about a half hour of talking sports and football, baseball, and all that fun stuff before we started recording here. So yeah, we could go all day, but yeah, we're here to talk business. Yeah, I own Ricochet Digital Marketing, and I'm based in Cincinnati, Ohio. So a little bit of my story it's a long one, so I won't bore you too much with it. But basically, I grew up as a kid who was just told you're going to college, and that's what it is. And
that's right.
I had no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't even have a job. I was starting in middle school. I was basically an entrepreneur and didn't know it, because I had a lawnmower and I had some gas and I had neighbors who needed their lawns mowed.
That's right.
So I made cash under the table and
tax-free.
Like, neighbors who were getting old didn't want to mow their lawns. That's or any neighbors that went on vacation all summer long, man, it was great. I'd wake up, I'd go mow 3 or 4 lawns, take a nap, go play baseball at night. So I was living the dream and didn't even realize it back in high school. And I even did that in college too. But eventually, long story short, graduated college, didn't know what I was going to do, got into sales, fired myself from that because I was terrible and they recommended I not come back to work. And then I bounced around in lawn care for a little bit. And then I worked for my father-in-law. He owns a small business out in Indiana in sales and marketing. And it was about that time that I kind of decided, like, well, sales is all right, but this marketing thing looks interesting. So I ended up taking a couple different courses and found my way into a couple of awesome mentors who taught me how to run Facebook ads for small businesses.
There you go.
Helping them with lead generation. So I finally acquired what I didn't have, which was a technical skill. I knew how to copyright. I knew how to run an ad. And I knew how to use it. It was just a matter of going out and proving it. And one of my mentors at the time said, I was part of their course in their coaching community where they were teaching others how to do it as a side hustle, make a couple extra grand a month, right? But I told him, I want to make this a career, a business, a company. And he said, that's awesome, dude. That's exactly what we do. We can teach you how to do that. So that was way back in 2017. And, 8 years later here, been going after it. And now we work with home service providers, and we are the support system that helps them enable their growth. The vehicle just happens to be digital marketing. So we work in all areas between web development, Google business profile management, Google paid ads, Facebook paid ads, email newsletter marketing, and occasionally we help out customers with direct mail. So that's the short version. Yeah,
that's great. I'm like, direct mail, I get less of it than I used to as far as just like stuff in the mail, but man, Those coupons that come in the mail still get used every once in a while.
right?
They're in the mailbox.
If it's
Right.
pertinent to you, it gets your attention. So direct mail it's still a pretty awesome way, especially for our service provider clients, to reach the right people with the right offer at the right time.
About to say at the
And
right time. Yep.
it's all we use a piece of software that helps us do this, to very specific settings, if you will. So it's actually really cool.
I love it. And I'm like, and we're going to dive into this, I'm sure. But when I think about like email marketing and direct in mail, Donald Miller talks about this a lot. This the Pizza Hut example, or insert pizza place here example of,
Hmm.
you might send someone, a weekly email with a coupon for $2 off 18 times in a row. But then that Friday night's going to roll around when cooking doesn't sound great, and someone's going to
Yeah,
be like, man, I'm pretty sure I had an email, or I'm pretty sure we had a, Pizza Hut coupon in the mail over there. And then right place, right time, right? With the right
yeah,
offer for the pizza,
yeah,
which is great. I do
yeah.
want to back up a second here. First job mowing lawns. I'll say, what was your first like W-2 job where you actually had to get taxed on your income?
Yeah, my first real W-2 job was not until I was in college.
Okay.
My Going into my freshman year, I went to the University of Dayton here in Ohio, and my older sister was a senior when I was an incoming freshman, and she had a job at the info desk, just a campus job, answering incoming calls to the university and just routing them to the proper department. And she hooked me up with a job at the info desk.
There you
So
go.
that was actually my very first legally paid job, where I paid Uncle Sam a couple
That's
bucks
right.
off of the like $4 I made. So yeah, that was my first paying job. Not until I was 18 years old.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I actually loved it. Like
Yeah.
it was great because as your listeners might find by the end of this show, I do like talking and I like conversing,
Oh,
and
there you go.
I'll shoot the breeze all day long. So when people call in, our job is sit at the desk until somebody calls and just say, University of Dayton, this is Brien. How can I help you? And
Still
they'll
got it.
say, hey, I'm looking for, yeah, still got it, baby. That's right. All you got to do is they'll say, hey, I'm looking for the philosophy department. Be like, sweet, hold on 1 second, please. Thank you. Boop. And you just send them through. And then we're also kind of stationed right in the student union. So we were kind of
Yeah.
like at the hub of anybody who's walking in, or guests or visitors or students looking for this, that, and the other thing. So I loved it. Like I'm a big customer experience guy. And
Yeah.
that was actually a really good spot.
Same. Yeah. As I'm a Chick-fil-A guy. That Chick-fil-A paid the bills for a long time.
I
So
love
big into
Chick-fil-A.
customer experience, fell in love with that. My first job at Chick-fil-A, and still love it.
Yeah.
Have you read Unreasonable Hospitality?
You mentioned that the last time we chatted.
Okay.
I need to go get that. Actually, I'm writing that down because I need a new audio book.
Great customer experience book. And I like Will's voice, and he does the audiobook, I'm pretty sure. I hope he does. Now that
Okay. Is
I want to say that.
Unreasonable
But
Hospitality?
yeah, it's great,
Okay,
man.
perfect.
Awesome book. Would highly recommend anyone listening to get that book as well. New York Times bestseller for a reason, though. Very popular. Was one of my favorite books I read last year. So, look, starting a business is no small feat. You did that with your digital marketing company. What do you feel like were some of your biggest challenges early on, and how did you overcome those challenges?
Dude, it was all the challenges. Man, when
Yeah.
I first
Yeah.
started, so this was the very end of 2017, getting the hang of this, had a skill, and finally got the confidence to actually go like get an LLC and make this a real
There you go.
thing.
Yep.
And working with my mentors, I didn't realize it at the time. I was full of imposter syndrome, right? I had never really done this before. I don't have any experience. I don't have any network. I don't have any connections. I got nothing but somewhat of a semi skill I have, right? So I was literally like starting from negative, like below
Yeah.
zero. And the biggest challenge, besides all of the mindset and mental stuff, was selling and sales and having a client who pays me green dollars to do work for them. That was the single hardest thing. It has taken me, I feel like even in just the last year and a half is when I really started breaking through, because sales is confidence. And I had none of the confidence for many years. For the first 4 years of my business, I was like just kind of floating, just kind of, part of me was sometimes being pushy salesman, but I'm so anti that I was really bad at that too. And then it like turned into like me just relying on referrals and me trying to improve my business to the people I was serving so that they'd
Yeah.
want to refer me. But yeah, man, it was sales, getting out there. It took me 11 months from the time essentially that I kind of started this thing and learning from my mentors to actually landing a paying client. It was 11 months. It was almost a whole year where I was making absolutely $0. And granted, I was doing this on the side while I was working for my father-in-law. Thank
Yeah.
God I had him to kind of enact some of my skills to put them out, to test them out, but also make sure I wasn't dead ass broke. So, but yeah, man, the sales and getting out there, that was the hardest thing amongst many other struggles.
I feel like I'm going to learn some here. I want to dive into that further because I would say for me, that's definitely the thing I've struggled with most, even with my business.
Hmm.
And I'm with you on that. It's confidence. I struggle personally, and I always be vulnerable here. Like with, I know what I have to offer is valuable, but then I get on the phone or I get on a Zoom meeting or whatever when it comes to call it what you want, it's a sales call. And I'm like, man, why do I not have confidence in that what I have to offer is valuable? Why does it feel like I'm begging? You know what I mean? Like, why does it feel
Hmm.
like I'm asking for a handout and not like, hey, I'm trading you value for money?
Yeah.
Like, how did you get more confident?
I think a lot of it was, well, experience. So, first of all, the only way to build confidence is through experience. So, starting to gather proof that my skills were worthwhile, that people could actually turn ROI from what I did for them. And then from just the actual out there and doing it and getting practice. So, I think I don't know how true this is, but the fake it till you make it. Like, it
Yeah.
got to a point where I'd be on these calls where I'm like, I know what I have to offer is valuable. I just know it down in my heart that this is valuable to you, Mr. or Mrs. Prospect. And after a while, when I started looking at these conversations, these sales meetings as, I should say, these sales meetings as just conversations, and then from conversations into, I'm just listening to see what problems you have. And if I can solve them, I'm going to honestly tell you how I can do it. And we're probably going to become friends in the process here because I really like getting
Yeah.
to know people.
Right.
When I started letting my personality show through, when I started being able to more crisply explain how I can solve someone's problem, which was typically around, all the things I just listed in what we do, if there's most businesses have problems in that area. So
Right.
as I gained the experience, as I started getting a little bit of notoriety, as I started having clients who had positive results, then I could go into these meetings and sit there and be like, no, I have the solution. I know I
Yeah.
do. You just need to tell me what your problem is, and I will tell you what the solution is. And if I don't have a solution, I'll tell you that. I'll be like, hey, this actually isn't up my alley, but I've got a guy or a gal who can help you with this, right?
Yeah.
And people start noticing that confidence, and it's just experience. And until then, fake it till you make it. Because it's kind of funny. I can't remember what podcast I was just listening to. They were talking about, it was maybe the Cody Sanchez podcast. They're talking about how there's a real actual mindset shift when you do the fake it till you make it. You start tricking your brain into being like, oh, I do know this. I am this guy. Even if you're not yet, now your brain is starting to talk and you start having these flywheels in your head of like, well, I am that guy. And then before long, you actually are.
Right.
So,
No, it's huge. And I think confidence is a huge part of it with any sales thing, right? And I think the confidence to your point comes from experience or like knowing that you actually have a solution that's valuable, right? Like you
mhm,
actually can solve a problem. And then the experience comes of solving the problem and telling more people how you solved the problem, but which can be huge. I want to dive
mhm.
into your work with Ricochet and your work in the digital marketing world. I know that a lot of our listeners are in, local small businesses, and local marketing can be a game changer for these small businesses. Can you share like your insights and what you've learned about using paid ads effectively?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's all sorts of avenues. So paid ads is one of them. However, depending on who I'm talking to as a prospective client or just a business owner in general, a lot of businesses don't yet need to be in paid advertising. Now,
Okay.
I'm telling you, there's two different layers, right? If you're
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
$5 million, outdoor landscaping company and you have budget to play with, yeah, we're talking paid ads. We're talking the whole system. If you are a 500,000 or 300,000 per year company doing whatever it is, chances are you don't have the budget to dive into paid ads, whether that be Google or Facebook or both. So there's a couple different playbooks. There's multiple different playbooks based on where a business is. But on the paid ad side, yeah, if you want to be showing up highly, ranking highly on Google, paid wise, then that's where you want to do it. And most businesses, you need at least a minimum of $1,500 to $2,000 per month in ad spend to have a meaningful attempt at what you're doing. And that varies based on industry and across geographic locations. But that's generally, at least here in the Midwest, that's about the minimum ad spend to not have a ridiculously long road to return, but also make sure you're competitive in your niche. And honestly, with Google, the more you spend, the more market share you're going to get, the more what they call search impression share. The higher percentage of that you have, the higher you're going to rank on relevant searches. So, but that doesn't, that doesn't even cover the more, if you will, foundational items, which would be like your Google Business Profile, website and Google Business Profile. But Google Business Profile is a foundational item because it's completely free. It's God's gift to small businesses or to marketing companies because it is free. And it is your yellow pages listing of the 21st century. And so many small businesses do not realize how powerful and how much local SEO juice is involved with your Google Business Profile if you manage it correctly and consistently, and how much influx of inbound leads, inbound opportunities can come from a well-managed Google Business Profile. So lots of stuff that happens there, but if you want to direct me in a certain direction with a question on either of those, I'm happy to jump in.
Yeah, that's huge. I do have a question with paid ad spend. With you mentioning those figures, if there's a business listening that's never done this, and it's like, okay, well, what should my ROI look like? Like, what should be the market spend versus return on that investment?
So the idea is put $1 in and get, however, 2, 3, 4, 5 back. See how many friends that dollar brings back, right?
Yep.
The thing about paid advertising is it has to be viewed as an investment, just like a monetary investment in the market. You're going to put this money in with no guarantee of return on the back end, right? Especially at the very beginning, because depending on your business, the cycle might take a while. Like you might launch an ad on Monday, you might have a few phone calls on Tuesday and a few lead forms by Wednesday, but then it falls into how many leads can you close and how quickly can you close them, to phone call to actual invoice paid, right? But also it takes a while for, especially if it's a newer account, it takes a while for the algorithm to understand what you're optimizing for and to start gathering data. These algorithms feed off of data. And until you have some data built up, they aren't going to work. I won't say perfectly, but they won't work as well as they could right off the rip because it's brand new. And you're going to have to adjust some keywords. You're going to have to look at some of your CPCs and be like, ooh, that one's a little bit high. Let's adjust this, or let's change this, or let's add a negative keyword here and there. So it takes a while to optimize, usually 60 days, 60 to 90 days. I tell prospects that within that time frame, if we aren't profitable, we should at least be able to see a pathway to profitability. And along the way, we track all the stats and data, and we'll be able to say like, hey, these phrases or keywords, these aren't clicking, or we're paying this much and we're not getting any return. Let's invest those into a different area, a different keyword, or let's focus more on phone calls as opposed to web clicks and lead forms. So it's totally customizable to what the business wants. But man, if you're looking for inbound phone calls, website hits, and website lead form fills, Google Ads is an incredible way to add fuel to the fire.
I love that. I want to stay in the Google realm here, because Google Business Profile, it's free. You're like, it's the new yellow pages. I like that analogy too. Why is that such a helpful tool? Like, let's dive further into that.
Because it's like 90 some odd percent of searches happen on Google and across the Google family. So Google search, whether it's desktop or mobile, and Google Maps. So using Chick-fil-A as an example, if you own a Chick-fil-A franchise, you absolutely have to have your Google Business Profile knocking it out of the park, so that when people are searching on Google Maps, like I use Google Maps all the time for searching for restaurants or like stores or shops near me in my own town, or especially when we're, on vacation or we're traveling, I am always in Google Maps. Your Google Business Profile is your Maps listing. They are one and the same. A lot of people get that confused. And if your profile is not up to snuff, if it does not have updated images, if you do not have alt tags on your images, if you do not have 5-star reviews, if you do not reply to your 5-star reviews, if you aren't utilizing your key search terms, your keywords in your descriptions and in your reviews and your replies, if you don't have your keyword rich posts at least twice a week, Google's not going to, when they get relevant searches, they're not as likely to show you as a result. So, but using that Chick-fil-A as a result, like you want to be discoverable, especially on Maps, especially on search from people like Chick-fil-A near me or Chicken Place near me. It's got to be intact. I'm sure most Chick-fil-A franchises have their Google Business Profiles in order, but even if you're a small business, a local service business, let's say you're a landscaping company, and if you have a lot of 5-star reviews, if you update your photos regularly, if you have your posts updated regularly, if you have your hours correct, if you have your description that says exactly who you are, where you are, and what you do, you make your profile friendly to the Google crawlers, but also friendly to people searching you. Now you have a great chance of being shown for people searching on Google search for landscapers near me or landscaping company or anything relevant to you, you have a great chance of ranking if your profile's in order.
That's huge. I'm like, I want to dive even further here because I'm thinking your Chick-fil-A example. If I'm a franchise business, if I'm a Chick-fil-A owner operator, and I'm like, yeah, but like I'm Chick-fil-A. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna
Hmm.
show up. When you search lunch near me, is there a guarantee that just because it's a big brand, I mean, insert any big brand, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, whatever, that's going to show up to the top? Or do you feel like the most optimized profiles are the ones that are going to come up to the top?
So definitely the most optimized are going to come to the top, but Chick-fil-A being such a, national iconic brand, like there's so many millions of searches for Chick-fil-A all the time.
Yeah,
Even if a Chick-fil-A profile isn't as perfectly put out as it should be, I'm willing to bet it's still going to rank very
yeah,
high, but that also depends on the local competition.
that's true.
If that Chick-fil-A is having trouble ranking in the top 3 of the map pack, which is it's when you search on whether it's desktop or mobile, it'll show the first anywhere 1 to 4 results is going to be a sponsored ad. So it's going to be someone who's paying for ads. And then if it's a local business, it's going to show a picture of the map, and directly to the left of that is going to be the top 3 organic results for that search. If you are ranking in that top 3, that means you have a great profile, you have a great website, and Google is saying, hey, searcher, you ought to go to this place. Now, again, Chick-fil-A, hopefully they're all 5 stars. I don't know why anyone would give a Chick-fil-A less than a 5-star.
Be surprised.
But as long as, I know, the general public will general public sometimes,
That's
all the
right.
time. But as long as that franchise is managing that profile, they're putting posts on there, it's updated with relevant key search terms in their text, in their description, they're putting photos. If they're replying to their reviews, if customers and ownership are putting images of the building, of happy people, of the food, if they have a call to action button on there, if they have all their profiles connected, all of these things add up to Google saying, you got to go eat at this place. We're going to rank you in the top 3.
I like your example of pictures too, because I mean, I'm with you. I use Google for anything if I'm trying to, especially in a new place of like, where am I going to go eat? But even with chains, I'm looking at pictures of like, what's the dining room like? Because I have
Mm-hmm.
kids, right?
Yep.
So I'm like, oh, is there enough room? I mean, heck, I wanted to meet somewhere. I forget what city I was in, but I was trying to meet at a coffee shop with somebody, and I just wanted to see what the seating was like. I'm like, okay, do they
Yep.
have like 2 tables,
I do
or
that
is it
all the
like
time.
a dining room? And
Yeah.
they had no pic. I could not see one picture of like a seating area.
Right.
I went. They have a large seating area, and I'm like, all it would take was one picture
Yeah.
of the
Right.
seating area, and I'm there. You know what I mean?
It's the easiest hanging fruit thing to do. And I tell that to customers and clients and prospects all the time. It's like you can never have enough images, especially if they are a place where business happens at their location. You
Yeah.
can never have enough images of your location because people now use the profile to feel better about showing up there. Just like you
Yep.
explained. I do that all the time, especially with coffee shops, because you never know if it's going to be like a 4-table little hut, or
Yeah.
if it's
Yeah.
going to be like, because if I'm meeting with a prospect, a friend, a client, whoever, I want to make sure when I get there's a good chance we're going to be able to sit, because there's nothing more
Yeah.
awkward than grabbing your coffee and just kind of like standing there trying to have your meeting. And if it's a really tiny joint, I'm probably not going to go there, but
Yeah.
I would have no idea if their pictures aren't on there.
That's right.
So yes, so that is a very important thing to do, whether you're a Chick-fil-A or a 5-star dining place, or
Yeah.
a McDonald's or a local coffee shop. You got to have a lot of images of
That's right.
your space.
And even beyond the food industry, I mean, I think about co-working spaces, or again, anywhere where people are going to, like you said, anywhere where business will be in person.
Mm-hmm.
It's just good to show people what to expect when they
Yep,
get
like
there.
event centers, we have a lot of event center clients. This is a big
Yeah,
thing for them, is having really a lot of pictures, and they don't have to be, it's good to get a mess of professional photos done, but also just continually update with photos from your iPhone, like really simple.
iPhone's a great camera now. It's not,
Yeah,
you can get
exactly.
some great pictures with an iPhone, or insert your favorite smartphone of choice,
Right,
I guess.
exactly.
I want to talk about email marketing. What is something you mentioned as far as like, you said in mail and email. I know email marketing is something I do with my business. I think for, if you're a small business or a service-based business, I know it's huge. It's going to be a huge portion of your marketing.
Hmm.
But I think it's something that gets overlooked by, I mean, I'll go back to the Chick-fil-A example, by small businesses, even in the food industry. I think service industries are typically pretty good at it because you kind of have to, right? But
You'd be
I think it
surprised.
gets overlooked. Like, how do you build and maintain these customer relationships using email marketing?
So I love email. It is the most underutilized piece of marketing available for not a huge investment for the majority of small businesses.
Still.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like people just blow past it just right over the top of their heads all the time. And especially at the, the kind of the smaller local business level, it's mostly like, I don't have the time for that. Or they send out like 3 emails in a month and then they don't do it for another 6 months. And it's like you're just missing a huge opportunity to be able to stay in contact with the people who already know, like, and trust you. The majority of your people on an email list are going to be people who have bought from you in the past, regardless of the type of business you are. So while email is massive, like in the e-commerce space, there are so many millions and billions of dollars made from proper email campaigns. In the service business space, in a lot of restaurants too, like hospitality spaces, just a massive missed opportunity because this is the one place digitally where you can still have a one-to-one interaction with your tribe. And that is the email inbox, because when they open your email, there's no news feed. There's no nothing that they're scrolling away from and getting distracted by. They are
Yeah.
reading the message that you have sent them. And if you can connect with them in that atmosphere, in that 15 seconds that they're reading your stuff, now you've built a slightly deeper connection just by a single email, right? And the fact that your competition probably isn't doing it means that you're the only one that's connecting with this person. So I use this example for, we have some brewery clients here in town, and breweries and bars. And I'm like, look, nobody else is doing this. And if they are, they're doing it like once every 3 months, like
Yep.
missed
Yep.
opportunity. So we've been working with a client for 4 years now, where we have their weekly newsletter. And 4 years later, now they have people who love reading this. They feel like they've built community, like they're a part of this club because they're getting this email newsletter. But it also has all the valuable information. Who's the live music in the tap room this week? Who's doing concerts at the event center this week? Who's or the upcoming ones? So what's link to the merch store? What are our drink of the week? Our food of the week? All of these things that go out of their way to tell people, hey, don't forget about us. Come on back, right? And then for service businesses like roofers, landscaper, whoever, nobody does it. These guys don't have time to do it. They simply do not. And even if they do, they don't want to do it, so they don't do it. But how many times have you had a home service provider come in, provide a service? Maybe they did a really good job. You enjoyed working with them. You never hear from them again. Year goes by, and either something else breaks in your house, or your neighbor's like, hey, who's that plumber you use? And you'll be like, actually, I cannot remember who it was. But all
Kid
they
you
had to
not.
do, if they send you an email every other week or once a month at a minimum, you're like, oh, I've got these guys. These are great. You got to go use them. Or, hey, the toilet's clogged again. I need some help, right? I know who I'm going for.
This
It's
happened
crazy.
recently. I mean, with a service provider where they did an excellent job at our house. And I'm like, we wanted more work done. And we had some friends ask. And they're like, who'd you use? And I was like, hold on. And I'm trying to search in my inbox
Yeah.
for like the invoice I got. And of course, the invoice came from like a do not reply random email thing.
Yeah, like
Not their normal.
invoice.com. And it's just
Right.
like,
And I'm
yeah,
like, oh my gosh. I mean, it took me like literally 30 minutes trying to find their information.
right.
And when it could have been, oh, they sent me an email this week. Of course I know who they are.
Yeah. And you know what would be part of that email if they're smart? They mention their referral program. Hey, for every customer you send our way, we're going to get you a $50 Amazon gift card, or we're going to cut
Yep.
you a check for $100 for every person you send to us who becomes a client. Now in your mind, you're like, ooh, now I'm definitely sending everybody to this guy, because not only did he do a great job, but he's going to pay me to send my neighbor to him. It's great. Why wouldn't
That's
anyone do
huge.
this? Yeah.
And like, I think too, Donna Miller, that Story Brand like consulted with this. It was like a truck customization company. So like, again, like not really a service you get done often.
Right.
It was like truck lifting or something like that in
okay.
Texas. And they
Sounds
just
about
started
right.
doing a weekly email, just Truck Tuesdays. And it was just pictures of trucks they had worked on. That was
Yeah.
it. Just like, hey, check out the trucks we did this week.
That's
And people who are into it are like, oh, this one looks sick. Like,
Yeah.
check this one out.
Yeah. And they
And
might
then
forward it to their friends and family, and now they're
that's
going to
right.
hop on the list. Yeah.
And then when they get that Christmas bonus and they've been wanting their truck lifted, well, guess who's been in their inbox 52 times this year?
Yep.
Just begging, just letting you know, hey, we exist. This is what we do.
It's just purely about consistency. And I don't know about you, but as a consumer, for the companies who care to stay in contact with me, now I feel a sense of loyalty to them. Like, hey,
Yeah.
these guys have been emailing, and they're not just crappy HTML loaded emails. There's actually message from the owner, and there's actual real photos in there, and there's some sort of value that they're providing. Now I feel a connection to them where I'm like, well, these are my guys. They email me all the time. Of course I'm going back.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think offering value in those emails, whether it's, like you said, a referral program, if it's just, here's stuff we've done.
Yeah. You know
If
who
it's
does this really well?
who?
Chick-fil-A. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, like the local franchise next to me, I know they have to have super advanced email systems, of course,
Yep.
because it's Chick-fil-A, but
Uh-huh.
they know at a certain interval when I haven't been in a while, they like send me coupons via email for like a free chicken sandwich and not just like a
Yep.
free small fry or like a shake. It's like a freaking sandwich. And I'm like,
Yep.
I have the reward points too. So I could walk in and walk out with 2 sandwiches if I wanted
That's
to.
right.
I'm just like, this is incredible. So they also have the power of the knowledge of creating powerful offers. Which anyway, again, I could talk about Chick-fil-A all day long, but
Yeah, well, I'm
they
glad.
do it
That's a
really
great
well.
example.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan as well. Chick-fil-A has been very good to me and my family.
Yeah.
They get a lot right. But I think to your point, you might be surprised to hear not every Chick-fil-A is doing that and not utilizing this amazing tool they have of
Yeah.
you can be in, I mean, basically at a high level, like this internal system they have, when people scan the app, you can see like your top customers and stuff.
Hmm.
And what I would be doing is one on one reaching out to this top customers and giving them even more stuff. Because again, it's a lot cheaper to keep your top customers than it is to get a new one.
Yep.
And so
It's
there's
genius.
even Chick-fil-A is not doing that well. And I think it's missed opportunities, right? We can be getting a lot more sales just by sending out. I mean, even if it was the small fry, that's
Yeah.
still, hey, we exist and here's something that
Right.
cost us nothing.
Yeah.
But when you're hungry, you're going to be like, well, I can get a free fry
Yeah.
at Chick-fil-A or, insert food business here.
Right. And as the customer, I appreciate that. Even so, it's probably, I don't know, a couple months ago. This summer, we were driving through South Carolina on the way to the beach, and we stopped at a Chick-fil-A in Orangeburg, like random South
Yeah.
Carolina.
Uh-huh.
And I was either in the app or an email from the Orangeburg GM saying, we miss you. Come on back. I can't remember what the offer was, but
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, they're even getting me trying to get back to Orangeburg, South Carolina. Like, let's go.
And spoiler alert, you can use that at any Chick-fil-A. So just
Ooh,
take the offer next
okay. Good to know.
yeah, it works across all Chick-fil-A's.
Nice.
If you're listening, yeah, if you get a coupon from a specific restaurant, you don't have to use it at that specific restaurant.
All right.
It works everywhere. I have a question here because I want to kind of land here. We've talked about digital marketing. I want to get back to life as a business owner because obviously your life does not revolve around your business, although it's a big part of it. Obviously, you
Hmm.
gotta pay the bills. Let me ask you this: I'm a dad. I'm a new dad. 2.5 years in, got one on the way. What's a lesson you've learned as a father that you feel like has positively impacted the way you've run your business?
That's definitely going to be patience. I'm going to give it a 2 for patience and confidence.
Okay,
Congrats on your second one coming, by the
thank
way.
you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm a dad of 4. I've been at this 7 years now, so almost as old as my business is my oldest
There you
child.
go.
And so my oldest child also has some severe handicaps, and it's my wife and I have learned a ton of patience.
Yeah,
And I'm still like I don't know if I'll ever be at a point where I'm like, wow, I'm super patient guy because there's a new challenge every single day. But so we've got age 7 all the way down to newborn,
yeah,
and it's just one of those things where I learned over this process that crap's going to happen, and you just have to, it's how you handle it that will decide how crappy it is.
that's true.
So, and once I started realizing that with kids, that things are going to happen, you got to roll with the punches, you got to fix what's in front of you and then get after what's next. And I started applying that to business because at the beginning, when I didn't have all that confidence, I was pressing. I was like, man, my family's relying on me, and here I am dropping the ball. I'm not making enough money. Like, I'm going to tell my wife, we can't buy this or we can't do that. But once I started developing that patience, then I could settle down when I was meeting with people who were prospectively looking to work with me. I could understand that it's okay. I took the time to, change this poopy diaper that wasn't expected when we're trying to get somewhere on time. But also, I'm in this meeting and this person's a good fit, but they're, they've got cold feet or something. And it's just like, okay, I can see you're a little nervous. Tell me why that is. Like, what about what we're offering here makes you uncomfortable? So I think those are the 2 biggest things that I'm continually learning. I was definitely not nearly as patient a person as I was before I had kids.
That's Yeah, I can already see that in my own life of just like how being a dad has taught me patience. I think marriage too. I just think,
Hmm.
the closer relationship you have with people, the more you realize patience is a virtue.
Oh yeah,
And that once you get more of it, how easy, how relieving it is the rest of life. You're not on the edge of your seat as much.
yeah,
Stuff doesn't bother you as deep as it used to.
right,
I'm the kind of person who, man, for too long I've let little things just really cut deep.
yeah.
And I think being a dad has definitely helped with that. Because then it's like, you understand this. I'm like, you've got 4 kids under 7. I'm like, the things that you are love in your house are just become things because things are just going to break and kids are just going to destroy things. And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
dude, I can tell you the perfect example is that is when my wife and I moved in here about a year later, we needed a kitchen table. And we were like, yeah, it doesn't need to be that great, yada, yada. We go to the furniture store and we just fall in love with this stupid table it
yep,
was like $3,500,
yep, yep,
$4,000, something just ridiculous. And they had a good salesman and like the chairs were really comfortable. And my wife was like, well, we can, we'll buy this now. It's a little expensive. It's out of our range, but we'll have it forever. And I'm like, all right. So like we even like took the credit card like offer from them to get like an extra $100 off,
yeah, yeah,
opened a line of credit like idiots. And then, 3 weeks later it gets delivered. It comes in damaged. And I'm like, oh, well, we can't do this. Like, this is damaged. You got to take this back and fix it and give us some money off it. The next
yep,
piece came in damaged again. So I get like, this is the blessing in disguise. I was like, all right, take it back, cancel that card. No money's exchanging hands here. We're not getting this table. We're going to the Snooty Fox, which is like a secondhand store in town here. We're going to go find a table. And then as we're like, okay, fine. So I find this table. It's like $300. And I was like, honey, look, we have one kid. We're going to have more. This table is going to get destroyed, absolutely destroyed. And she's
mm-hmm.
like, yeah, you're crazy. If you go look at my table, it is destroyed. And every time we sit down to dinner, I'm like, honey, thank God we did not get that stupid expensive table.
I love it.
Yeah.
Brien, if there's, we've talked about a lot. We've talked about entrepreneurship, being a family person and being a business. And we really dove deep into digital marketing, which is definitely your expertise. If there's one takeaway from the conversation today that someone could take, what would it be?
Man, we have covered a lot, but I think I'll stick with the theme of patience and confidence. The more you can develop being patient and understanding yourself and finding the best path forward, whether it's business ownership or life or family, whatever, and then being able to develop your confidence. I think once you have confidence, you can do so much more than your mind might think you might allow you to do right now. So I think that's where I'd land it.
I love it. I'm going to add one on top of that. Plus one, go optimize your Google business profile.
That too. Yes.
I'm like, you said the deep and nice one, and I'm like, all right. And also an easy one. Go, if you haven't created one, go create one. And then if you do have one, make sure it's updated. Add some pictures, get your iPhone out, and just take a couple pictures and update it.
Yeah, if you want some easy business wins, go optimize that profile, go take some pictures, go get some 5-star reviews. Don't be afraid to ask your clients for 5-star reviews and reply to those reviews. Yeah.
Replying, that's huge too. Brien, where can people connect with you, learn more about your business and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. You can check me out at ricochetdm.com. That's RICOCHET, D as in digital, M as in marketing.com. That's got all the information on all the services that we offer. And if you want to connect with me one-on-one, I'm on LinkedIn. That's kind of my platform of choice. So just look me up, BRIEN GEARIN, and shoot me a message if you want to chat, or just shoot me a connection. And I try to post some useful information on there a handful of times a week. So looking forward to it.
I love it. I'll have those linked down in the episode description below. If you want to check out Brien, I encourage it. Brien, thank you so much for being on today. Really enjoyed our time. Thank you guys for listening and watching to this episode of the Waves Business Coaching Podcast. Have a great week. Take care.